look at this picture, what do you see? You may notice the forest in the background, the grassland in the foreground, the birds, the different habitat that exists there. But what's going on here is actually a lot more complex than it looks, because in the middle there's a strip of grass there, taller grassland, and that's what we call an ecotone. It's a place where two habitats overlap. So the forest overlaps with the grassland and forms this strip where there's an area of possibility and of diversity and of danger. In the ecotone, there are several different habitats overlapping and competing for resources. And what happens is the forest and the grassland overlap and create all sorts of new possibilities, but it also creates competition for who can have that area and for who can't, and for what could happen there that doesn't exist in the other two areas. Now, what does this have to do with leadership? All of us are going through an ecotone at some point in our lives. We start in one area, we're moving, changing, going through different phases to another area, but we can't get from one place to another without going through that messy middle ground, through that ecotone of change and challenge and diversity and danger. It happens to us in our personal lives when we go through different seasons of our life, but it also happens to us professionally. It happens to me professionally. I started out my professional life in the church, and now I work in a hospital, and every day I have to work with the overlap of those two, with the ecotone of where there's opportunity, where there's diverse ideas, and where it feels pretty vulnerable and sometimes dangerous. Our patients are going through the same thing, dealing with their illnesses, going from a healthy life to a less healthy life, and what it looks like in the middle when they're dealing with their own ecotone. Most people in healthcare are dealing with this, and so I drew up sort of a complex diagram of what it looks like for me to have that overlap of church and hospital, and what it means to be a chaplain navigating in that middle ground. But we have that in all areas of healthcare. So if someone works in marketing, they have a marketing degree, but they're working in healthcare, and so they have to deal with the overlap of those two and how complex that can get. We have nurses who went into nursing wanting to be by the bedside, and they end up in administration, and every day they have to deal with the overlap between bedside nursing and how to manage all of the complexities of that. Even as an organization, we go through ecotones. Right now, and for the last couple of years, OhioHealth has been going through an ecotone from volume to value, or volume and value. So we have the volume world that we know very well. We know how to treat patients in our hospitals. We know what that looks like. And now we're dealing with the value world. We're moving on to a different model, and we don't know what it looks like yet. We don't know exactly what it looks like to treat people based on wellness, to keep them out of the hospital. We know what volume looks like, but we can't stay there. And we can't rush ahead to what value will look like because we don't know what it looks like yet. So right now, we're in an ecotone. We have to stay in that area where we don't know what the future looks like. And we have to deal with all the possibilities there, but also all the diversity and the danger that can exist there as we lose things and gain other things. So what does this have to do with my leadership philosophy? Well, I think that all of us are dealing with ecotones all the time, organizationally, professionally, and we need help staying there. Sometimes when we're in an ecotone, we feel very anxious. We want to rush on to the next thing or go back to what we recognize and understand. But my leadership takes into account staying in the messy middle, not just so we can be anxious together, but so that we can learn what we need to learn, so that we can face some of those fears and let the future emerge out of what the past has been and what that ecotone tells us. The ecotone is a scary place. It's a place with a lot of possibilities, it can be a beautiful place, as you can tell by this picture. So I invite you to join me there. Thank you.